Chapter 1. New York mornings are always full of hustle and lights. Emily was on her way to her new office. Emily was a beautiful girl of about 25 or 26. She had a figure just like a model, but instead of going into that field, she wanted to do this job. The company where Emily got this job was one of the biggest in New York, and because of that, although the salary was quite good, the work pressure was also very high. It was her first day, and along with excitement, there was also a slight nervousness in her heart. "Come on, Emily, it's just a new job, nothing to be afraid of," she said to herself, gently tucking her hair back. The office was in a skyscraper, a magnificent blend of glass and steel. Emily's heart was beating fast. A new place, new people, and maybe new friendships, she thought with a smile. The elevator doors opened, and Emily stepped onto the 30th floor. The atmosphere was all business, people holding coffee cups, eyes focused on computer screens, and the soft rustle of files filling the air. A receptionist greeted her with a smile. "Are you Emily? HR has sent your welcome package." "Thank you," Emily said. She took the package and walked straight toward the HR office. Sitting in the HR office, Emily introduced herself. "Emily, we're very happy to have you here. Your skills in marketing will be a great addition to our team." "Thank you. I'm really glad to be working here too," she replied with a smile. HR gave her a tour of the office. "And yes, this is Jason, our CEO," HR said. Emily's eyes lifted. Jason's presence was strikingly different. Dressed in a black suit, he looked incredibly attractive. His well-built frame was something the suit could hardly conceal. His eyes were deep, his face carried a faint smile, and there was a confident glow about him. Jason looked at Emily and extended his hand. "Emily, welcome. I hope you'll enjoy working here." "Thank you, sir," Emily replied with a gentle smile. The atmosphere in Jason's office was different. It wasn't just the seriousness of work. There was a certain mystery and charm as well. Emily noticed that people around Jason felt a mix of respect and fear. "He's so confident and so attractive," Emily thought to herself. During the day, Emily started working at her new desk. She picked up a cup of coffee and checked her emails on the computer. During a break, some of her new colleagues were telling her about a pub party. "Friday night, everyone's meeting at Bar Clement," one colleague said. "We have a lot of fun there. Will you come too?" "Sure," Emily said, smiling. In the evening, when office work was over, Emily went to the pub with her friends. The atmosphere there was light and full of fun. "So, Emily, how did you find the office?" her friend asked. "Really nice, and CEO Jason, he's really impressive," Emily replied with a slight smile. Her friends laughed and said, "Oh, looks like you've got a crush at the office." Taking a sip of her drink, Emily said, "Maybe, but I just want to focus on work." The pub was filled with music, laughter, and soft lighting. Emily enjoyed herself with her friends, but Jason kept crossing her mind over and over. The next day, Emily noticed that Jason was looking her way in the office. There was more in his eyes than just focus on work. It was as if he wanted to get to know Emily better. Emily gave a small smile, and Jason nodded subtly in return. During lunch, Jason invited Emily to the office cafeteria. "Come on, let's have lunch together today. I want to show you the company's culture," he said. Emily felt a little nervous, but agreed. During lunch, Jason talked about the office, the team, and some of his own experiences. "You seem very smart and dynamic, Emily," Jason said. "Thank you, sir," Emily replied with a gentle smile. That day, Emily realized that Jason was not just a CEO, but also a mysterious and attractive person. Days passed, and the subtle teasing and friendly touches between Emily and Jason at the office began to increase. But in Jason's eyes, there was still a deep mystery, one that would slowly unfold for Emily. In the evening, Emily went to the pub with her friends. She realized once again that both the seriousness of the office and the fun at the pub were parts of her life. Balance in life is important, she told herself. Meanwhile, Jason watched her from his office window, feeling something in his heart, yet keeping his werewolf secret hidden. Chapter 2. By the next week, the office routine was in full swing. Emily was busy with her work, but Jason's presence lingered in her mind every moment. Jason, too, was impressed by Emily's intelligence and enthusiasm. He sought her eyes in every meeting, every presentation, yet kept his feelings hidden. One day, during a team meeting, Emily noticed Jason suddenly step away from a pile of papers. His eyes were shining with a strange light. "What's wrong?" Emily asked softly. Jason gave a faint smile and said, "Nothing, just the stress of office work." But Emily sensed that something was unusual. There was a secret in his eyes, a glimpse of a power that no ordinary human possessed. In the evening, Emily went to the pub with her friends. "You seem a bit troubled at the office," her friend asked. "No, just a little, the office atmosphere," Emily replied with a faint smile. But in her mind, the mystery in Jason's eyes kept replaying. Could he be hiding something? She wondered to herself. The pub was filled with laughter, music, and soft lighting. Emily realized how different life at the office was from life at the pub. "Here, I feel my freedom, but Jason's image still lingers in my mind," she whispered. The next day, Jason called Emily into his private meeting room. "Emily, your work is excellent, but I want you to interact more with our team." "Thank you, sir. I'll try my best," she replied. There was a deep warmth in Jason's eyes. Emily realized that he was not just a CEO, but also a mysterious and captivating person. "Why are you always so focused?" Jason asked. "I believe in my work, and I want to succeed," Emily answered. Suddenly, in their conversation, there was a moment when Jason looked deeply into her eyes. "You're different, Emily, something I haven't seen before," he said. Emily's heart started racing. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. A few days later, it was late at night in the office. Emily was working on some projects when Jason suddenly walked into the room. "You're still working?" he asked. "Yes, just adding a few final touches," she replied. Jason stepped closer and glanced at her screen. "You really do work perfectly," he said, his voice carrying a special warmth. Just then, a loud noise echoed from outside the room. Jason immediately shut the door, and in that instant, Emily caught a glimpse of something changing in him, a golden glow in his eyes and a faint sharpening of his ears. Emily stared in shock and fear. "Jason, you," she whispered. Jason gave a gentle smile and said, "Emily, I want you to understand that I'm not just a CEO. I'm different." Emily looked into his eyes, feeling both fear and fascination. "What do you mean, different?" she asked. "I'm a werewolf," Jason whispered. Emily's breath caught, her heartbeat quickened. What do you mean?" "It means," Jason said softly, "that I'm ready to protect you and care for you, and I'll never let you get hurt." In his eyes, Emily saw sincerity, a strange comfort amidst the fear. "So what happens now?" she asked quietly. Jason stepped closer and took her hand. "Now, we get to know each other, without office rules, without the world's fear. Just you and me." That night, Emily realized that her life had completely changed. The seriousness of the office, the fun at the pub, Jason's secret, and their growing closeness. Everything marked the beginning of a new story. Chapter 3. After weeks of office teasing and conversations, Jason decided it was time to show Emily a small part of his real world. "Emily, are you free Friday evening?" he asked suddenly. Emily was a little surprised, but smiled. "Yes, why?" "I want you to come with me, just you and me," he said. Emily's heart raced. "For a date," she whispered. Jason gave a faint smile. "Yes, just you and me, away from the office world." On Friday evening, amidst the sparkling buildings of New York, Jason took Emily to a luxurious restaurant. The lighting was soft, and the music was gentle. For the first time, Emily realized that Jason's charm wasn't just in the office. It carried over into his private life as well. Jason pulled out her chair and said, "Sit down, tonight is special just for you." Emily gave a small smile. "I can feel that it really is special," she replied. At the restaurant, they shared stories about New York's nightlife, the subtle stresses of the office, and their personal experiences. "How are you always so focused?" Jason asked. "I believe in my work, and I also want some fun in life," Emily replied. Jason looked into her eyes. "You're completely different to me, Emily. Despite office rules and the world's fears, your freedom and liveliness attract me." A soft blush spread across Emily's cheeks. "And I think I'm starting to feel something about you too," she whispered. After dinner, Jason took her to a rooftop overlooking the city, where the lights of New York sparkled below. "Look at the city, but now we can see it from our perspective," Jason said. Emily held his hand and felt that Jason's touch was not just attractive, but filled with safety and trust. Then Jason took a slow, deep breath. "I want you to know, I'm not just a human." Emily looked at him, noticing the mystery and seriousness in his eyes. "You what?" she asked softly. Jason smiled and gave a subtle gesture. "I'm a werewolf, and that's why I want to keep you safe, always for you." Emily's heart started racing. "So that means you're different," she whispered. "Yes, but that's also the reason for my strength and love, and I want you to know and understand it," Jason said. In the city lights, they stood close to each other. Jason gently took Emily's hand in his. "Now, despite our fears and secrets, we are together." Emily saw trust in his eyes. "And I am too," she whispered. Suddenly, a slight cold breeze swept through. Jason instinctively pulled her back a little. "Something's nearby, but not now," he said, his eyes cautious. Emily understood the situation and realized that Jason was not just a CEO, but also a mysterious and powerful being. The night gradually deepened. Emily and Jason held each other's hands. "This is our first date, and the first glimpse into my real world," Jason said. "And I want to live it fully," Emily replied. Under the moonlight, Jason pulled her close and kissed her. That kiss was not just romance. It was a symbol of trust, protection, and mystery. Chapter 4. By the next week, Emily had completely settled into the office. Her work was commendable, and Jason was highly impressed by her dedication. But there was always a bit of drama in the office. One day, a new project was being discussed in the meeting room. Jason looked at everyone carefully and then turned to Emily. "Emily, I think your ideas could make this project stand out," he said. Emily stood up with a slight smile. "Thank you, sir. I'll prepare a presentation." Jason glanced at her, and in their eyes, there was a subtle hint of mutual attraction. The colleagues watched quietly. Some had already caught on to the office romance brewing between them. After the meeting, Emily sat at her desk, but her attention kept drifting toward Jason. Just then, a new manager tried to undermine her work. "This project is beyond your level, Emily. You need to learn a bit more," he sneered. Emily looked at him but said nothing. At that moment, Jason came over and focused on the situation. "What's going on?" Jason asked, his tone serious. Emily explained quietly. Jason took a deep breath. "Remember, no one can put you down as long as I'm here." In his eyes, there was not just anger, but also protection and power. That same evening, Jason called Emily outside the office. "Tonight, I want to show you a small part of my world," he said. Emily's curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" she asked. Jason took her to a private, secure park outside the city. "This place is special to me. Here, I can reveal my true identity," Jason said. Then he showed a faint glow in his hands and a golden gleam in his eyes, hinting at his werewolf powers. Emily felt a mix of fear and curiosity. "So you're really what you told me," she whispered. Jason smiled. "Yes, and that's why I want you to always be safe. I would do anything for you." Emily saw trust in his eyes. You're not just a CEO, you're a mysterious and powerful man, she said. Jason gently took her hand. And you've become the most important part of my life, he whispered. Suddenly, there was a slight rustle in the park. Jason instantly became alert, guided by his instincts. Something's nearby, but don't worry, I'm here, he said, pulling Emily close and giving her a gentle kiss. Chapter 5. One Friday night, a light fog hung over the streets of New York. Emily was enjoying herself at the pub with her friends, laughing and dancing to the music, feeling completely free. But Jason knew that amidst the city's glittering lights, danger could be lurking. He had left the office and was keeping a close eye on Emily as he moved toward her. Tonight, I need to make sure you get home safely. Something feels off, he said, guided by his intrinsic instincts. Emily looked at him and smiled. Why are you always so worried, Jason? When you're not safe, I can never be at peace, he whispered. In the darkness of the night, as they stepped out of the pub, an unknown vehicle stopped near them. Two strangers began approaching Emily. Jason, what's happening? Emily asked, frightened. Jason immediately shifted into a defensive stance, guided by his instincts. A golden glow shone in his eyes, his ears slightly pointed, and his entire body radiated werewolf strength. Don't worry, I'm here, he whispered. Before Emily could fully comprehend, both attackers began to transform. Their bodies grew larger, claws sharpened, and coarse hair covered them like wild animals. Seeing this, Emily panicked, but in the next instant, Jason moved with lightning speed, lifting both attackers and throwing them far away from her. His strength and agility left her in awe. Emily stared, a mix of shock and fear in her eyes. You can really do that, and who were they? She asked. Yes, and I'll always do this for you, Jason said. After the danger had passed, Jason hugged Emily and said, See, I'm always ready for you. Emily whispered softly, You're not just a CEO, but also the reason for my safety and love. In the chilly night air, their hearts raced. Jason looked gently into her eyes. You are the most important to me, Emily. I want you to always know that. Emily held his hands tightly. And I will always be with you. They looked at each other, their hearts pounding, and in that moment, Jason kissed Emily. Emily realized that her life now included not just fun and work, but love and protection as well. You really are different, Jason, she whispered. And that's exactly what I want, to always be different and special for you, Jason said. Under the glowing lights of New York, Emily and Jason faced the depth of their relationship for the first time, along with the secret of his werewolf nature. Chapter 6. By midweek, the office atmosphere had eased a little. Projects were moving forward, meetings continued one after another, but Emily's attention was always on Jason. One day, Jason suddenly called Emily into his private office. Today, I want to show you something just for you, he said. A mix of curiosity and slight fear appeared in Emily's eyes. Something special, she whispered. Yes, something I haven't shown anyone else yet, Jason smiled. As Emily stepped into Jason's office, she immediately noticed that the atmosphere was different. It wasn't just laptops and papers. There were personal photographs, books, and glimpses of Jason's private world. All this for me, Emily asked softly. Yes, and I want you to know it, my real world. We werewolves are spread across the world. We mostly live hidden from humans in groups, which we call packs. Every pack is rival to another. Our werewolf pack is the Shatteridge pack. The werewolves who attacked you last night were from our rival Redclaw pack. They wanted to hurt you to weaken me. That's why I've never let anyone close to my life, because I didn't want anyone to get hurt because of me. But slowly, I started falling in love with you, Jason explained. Emily felt both fear and curiosity. This isn't a dream, is it? She whispered. No, this is reality, and that's why I want you to always be safe. I would do anything for you, Jason said. Emily saw trust in his eyes. You are the strongest and most mysterious person in my life, she said. Jason gently took her hand. "And you've become the most important part of my life," he said, smiling. Under the glowing lights of New York, Emily and Jason experienced the first true glimpse into their romantic world. Chapter 7. The following week, Emily was working in the office with full confidence and energy. Jason was performing his CEO duties, but his attraction toward Emily was no longer hidden. One day, Jason suddenly called Emily into his office. "Emily, I need to tell you something," he said, his voice carrying both seriousness and warmth. Emily's heart raced. "What, sir?" she whispered. Jason gently took her hands. "I like you, Emily. Beyond office rules and the world's expectations, I want you to be a part of my life." A sparkle appeared in Emily's eyes. "Jason, I like you too," she whispered. Their eyes met, and in that moment, amidst the office seriousness, their romance deepened. Jason gave a slight smile. "Now, we are together not just in the office but in life as well," he said. But the suspense in the office wasn't over. Some colleagues had noticed the growing relationship between Jason and Emily. One day, during a meeting, Jason emphasized the project's strategy. "This project is important, and I want Emily to help me with it," he said. Many were surprised that the CEO was bringing his personal preference into office work. But Emily smiled and focused on her task. "Thank you, sir, I'll do my best," she said. Everyone then returned to their work, but during this, one female colleague whispered, "Nowadays, some girls are really clever. They come and trap seniors in their love web." Emily knew everyone was talking about her, but since her name hadn't been mentioned yet, she remained calm. Then another man added, "Honestly, we work so hard here, and some girls just take everything away." Jason, standing behind and observing all this, could no longer hold back. He stepped forward and said, "I know what kind of talk is going on here, but let me remind you, each of you has always had some shortcoming in your work. Before Emily came, when you were given this responsibility, none of you did anything remarkable. Emily came and managed everything, and I gave her the opportunity not because of our personal relationship, but because she is hardworking. Now, if you improve your performance, this kind of opportunity can come to you as well." After this, everyone present was silenced, and Jason walked away. Chapter 8. On Friday night, amidst the sparkling buildings of New York, Jason called Emily to a special place. "Tonight is just for us, and a little adventurous too," he said. Emily looked into his eyes and smiled. "Jason, where are we going?" Jason gave a slight smile and held her hand tightly. "To a special place. I want to spend time with you away from the crowd." As they reached a private and deserted park outside the city, Jason held Emily's face in his hands and leaned in to kiss her, when suddenly, a faint movement in the darkness caught their attention. Emily got startled, and Jason also turned to look in that direction. Suddenly, 3 other werewolves appeared from the corner of the park. Jason stepped in front of Emily and, recognizing them, said, "You guys here, is everything okay?" One of them replied, "The people from the Red Claw pack are coming after you. That's why we came to protect you. We don't know how many there are. You both should leave quickly and go somewhere safe." Emily was confused, not understanding what was happening. Jason didn't want to put Emily's life at risk, so he grabbed her hand and started moving quickly away. But then, some unknown people entered the park from the darkness. Seeing this, Emily exclaimed in surprise, "Who are these people and why are they after us?" Jason replied, "They are members of the rival pack, but don't worry, we'll handle them." Jason's werewolf companions then decided to team up with him to stop them. Meanwhile, one of Jason's allies took advantage of the situation and sent messages to the rest of their pack. The rival pack's werewolves were advancing quickly, and during this, one werewolf came dangerously close to Emily. Before he could harm her, Jason stopped him. During this fight, members of Jason's pack also arrived, and together they managed to drive away the rival pack's werewolves. After they left, Jason's companion said, I think we should do something about this because they could become a bigger threat in the future. Jason agreed, but he had no idea how terrifying things were about to get. Chapter 9. Monday in New York was always busy with office chaos, but this week, something different was on Emily's mind. Ever since that night, Emily had been feeling a little scared because danger had never come this close to her before. With all this on her mind, Emily was trying to focus on her work. But during this time, some of her colleagues were quietly watching her with envy and jealousy. The most prominent among them were Natalia and Shane. Natalia whispered, "This one always seems to be Jason's favorite. Emily shines every time." Shane gave a slight smile and said, "Yes, and maybe everyone can see their office romance too. I don't like it." Emily ignored them, but Jason sensed something in their eyes. During the lunch break, Natalia and Shane tried to spread some rumors. "Did you hear? Emily and Jason's relationship is just office romance. Outside this place, they might be dating someone else too," Natalia said with a laugh. In the evening, the office work continued late. Emily was sitting alone at her desk. At that moment, Natalia and Shane tried to interfere with her work. "Emily, why are you doing this project alone? Give us some responsibility too," they sneered. Jason immediately came over near the office and said, "Listen, no one can bother Emily." There was power and seriousness in his eyes. Natalia and Shane were scared, but their jealousy still lingered. After that, Jason glanced at Emily and then walked away. The next day, a new guy, Eric, joined the office. He was working alongside Emily, and Natalia and Shane were talking about Emily right in front of him, but she didn't react to it at all. Meanwhile, Jason discovered that some members of the Red Claw Pack were present in his office, and they could do anything if given the chance. He knew he had to stay alert. Jason decided that it was time to get help from his werewolf pack allies. 3 of his old werewolf companions, Mark, Leo, and Sarah, arrived at the office with Jason. The 3 of them kept a watchful eye on everyone in the office while working, but so far, they hadn't suspected anyone. In the meeting room, Natalia and Shane tried to challenge Emily's work. Seeing this, Jason looked at them seriously and said, "No one can bring Emily down. This is an office, but no one will treat her badly." After that, Natalia and Shane didn't say much and started to leave. They had only moved a few steps when suddenly, the lights in the office corridor started flickering on and off by themselves. The 2 of them were shocked. Before they could understand what was happening, a werewolf figure appeared before them. Natalia and Shane's faces turned red with fear and surprise. "Why you? What are you?" Natalia stammered, panicked. The werewolf lunged at Shane in a sudden attack, knocking him down, and in a terrifying voice said, "Stop harassing anyone, or the consequences won't be good." After saying this, the werewolf disappeared. Following this incident, neither of them dared to trouble Emily again. They were extremely frightened, but their fear wasn't enough to make them give up such a good job. Chapter 10. In a few days, Eric, while helping Emily with several projects, made her look even more impressive. But Jason, with his werewolf intuition, sensed that Eric wasn't just helping her, he was getting attracted to her. One day, Jason called Emily to the office rooftop. "Emily, I know that Eric likes you, but you should just remember I'll always be by your side." Emily looked at him softly and said with a smile, "And I'll always be with you, no matter what danger comes." Eric gradually began to understand the bond between Jason and Emily, and he didn't pose any threat to their relationship. However, deep inside, he was in love with Emily, and it showed in his actions. One day, Jason had to leave the office for an important meeting. During that time, Shane took the opportunity to misbehave with Emily. He got up from his desk, walked over to Emily, placed his hand on her shoulder, and started talking to her. Slowly, his hand began moving down from her shoulder toward her chest. Seeing this, Emily became uncomfortable and said, "What are you doing, Shane?" Then Shane leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Come on, Emily. I know you spend time with everyone just for work. I understand that sometimes you have to do things like this for success, but you must have your own desires too, right? Don't hold yourself back. No one will ever know." He had barely finished speaking when suddenly, his chair was kicked hard from behind, and he fell to the floor. Shane was completely shocked, and before he could even get up, Eric grabbed him by the collar, lifted him, and shouted angrily, "Stay away from Emily, understand?" Terrified, Shane nodded repeatedly and promised never to bother Emily again. Emily was very happy about what had just happened. She smiled at Eric and said, "Thanks, Eric. I don't know what he thought of himself, but you showed him his place." Hearing this, Eric replied, "I can tolerate a lot of things, but I can't stand anyone misbehaving with you. I just want to keep you safe from every kind of danger." Eric's words had a deep effect on Emily, because while she often found herself in trouble because of Jason, here was Eric, protecting her from every possible threat. Chapter 11. Emily and Eric had started talking to each other quite a lot now. Sometimes, Eric even began accompanying Emily places, which made Jason feel jealous. However, he trusted Emily. He knew she wouldn't betray him so easily. And Emily, through her words and actions, never gave the slightest hint that there was anything going on between her and Eric. During this time, while returning from a public event, some unknown people surrounded Jason and Emily's car. Emily felt a wave of panic, but Jason instantly realized that they weren't ordinary humans, they were werewolves. Without wasting a second, Jason transformed. Right before Emily's eyes, a terrifying battle broke out. Sitting inside the car, trembling, Emily watched everything happen, and at that moment, Jason threw a powerful punch to kill one of the werewolves. The werewolf moved out of the way, causing Jason's powerful punch to hit the car where Emily was sitting. The impact was so strong that it pushed the car several feet away, and Emily screamed in fear. Her car slid about 4 feet and then suddenly flipped over. Emily had her hand on her head and was wearing a seatbelt, so she didn't get seriously hurt, but all of this left Jason completely panicked. Jason ran swiftly toward the car, set it upright, and started pulling Emily out. She had just stepped out of the car when a werewolf suddenly lunged forward, aiming its sharp claws at Jason, but instead, the strike landed on Emily's wrist. The claws tore through her skin, leaving a deep 1-inch gash, and blood began to flow from the wound. Seeing this, Jason was consumed with rage. He grabbed both werewolves with his hands and dragged them far away with tremendous force. Meanwhile, Eric arrived at the scene and found Emily in that condition. Seeing her like that, he panicked and quickly lifted her into his arms. "How did this happen, Emily? Let's get to the hospital now," he said and rushed her there. By then, Emily had already lost consciousness. Chapter 12. Because of that accident, Emily had suffered several injuries and had to stay in the hospital for a few days. However, due to his heavy workload, Jason couldn't spend much time with her. Eric, on the other hand, took a few days off and began taking care of Emily attentively at the hospital. Emily actually felt quite good about it. She realized that although Eric wasn't as wealthy as Jason, he cared for her much more deeply. And even now, when she needed Jason the most, he only stayed by her side for a short while before leaving again. After staying in the hospital for a few days, Emily finally returned home and gradually started going back to the office. However, Eric still continued accompanying her to and from work. Meanwhile, today Jason was planning to propose to Emily. In his hand, he held a small box containing a beautiful ring. "Today, I'm going to tell her that she's the most important part of my life," Jason whispered to himself. He called Emily to a beautiful restaurant in the city. "Emily, I want to tell you something today," he said. Smiling, Emily replied, "Jason, I'm sure this will be something special." Jason opened the box and gently said, "Emily, will you be my partner for life?" Hearing this, a flood of emotions crossed Emily's face. Her heart and mind were completely tangled, and thoughts of Eric began creeping in. Before Emily could say anything, the people in the restaurant suddenly started transforming into werewolves. Seeing this, Emily panicked. At that moment, Jason began fighting them. There were about 8 to 10 werewolves, and as Jason battled them, some of the werewolves took advantage of the chaos and forcibly dragged Emily away. Afterward, the remaining werewolves who were fighting Jason fled the scene, leaving only Jason there, transformed into a werewolf himself. Chapter 13. Jason began searching for Emily all over the city. "Don't scare me, I will find you," he told himself. But everywhere, there were only empty streets and fog. Emily was kept in a safe place in the darkness. She felt scared and helpless. Just then, Eric arrived there. Seeing him, Emily said in surprise, "Eric, how are you here?" "I will get you out safely, trust me," he whispered. Hearing this, Emily said, "But how did you get here? It's very dangerous outside and those people aren't human like you and me." At that, Eric took Emily's face in both his hands and said softly, "I know, but don't worry, I will get you out of here. Just don't be afraid." Emily couldn't understand what he meant, but just then the door of the dark room opened and 4 werewolves stood before them. Seeing this, Eric said, "If your enmity is with Jason, it would be better if you harm him instead of this girl." Hearing this, one of the werewolves said, "She's the girlfriend of the alpha of the Shadow Ridge Pack. In that case, she must be punished, right?" At that, Eric said, "You can't harm her while I'm here." With that, Eric's body began to grow in size, and within moments a large brown werewolf stood before them. In the blink of an eye, Eric defeated the 4 werewolves. Seeing all this, Emily was completely astonished. As they stepped outside, Emily realized for the first time that Eric was not just an ally, but could also be her protector. "Thank you, you helped me," Emily said. Eric smiled and replied, "Always, I will always be by your side." Emily noticed that Jason was now far away, and it was Eric who was there to protect her from this danger. Gradually, Emily's heart began to be drawn toward Eric. Chapter 14. When Jason found out that Emily was safe with Eric, he felt torn between anger and worry. "I was supposed to propose to her myself, and now Eric," he whispered. Jason regretted not being able to save Emily at that moment, and now, every day, he saw her with Eric. One day, while Eric and Emily were sitting together, working and talking, Shane came to show Jason a file. In the meantime, he noticed that Jason's gaze was elsewhere. Seeing this as a perfect opportunity to create a misunderstanding between them, he said, "Perhaps Emily has grown tired of you, which is why she doesn't pay so much attention to you anymore." Hearing this, Jason glared at him. Seeing Jason's reaction, Shane stammered, "I'm not making this up myself. I'm just saying what I've been seeing lately. They spend the whole day together, have lunch together, come and go together, and now I hardly ever see them apart. Maybe Emily has already gotten what she wanted from you." Hearing this, Jason became extremely angry. He loved Emily deeply and could not let her go so easily. He went straight to Emily's desk, glanced at her, and then said to Eric, "I see, Eric, that you're not paying much attention to work anymore. I don't know anything, but by tomorrow you'll have to finish all the presentations due the day after, and Emily, come with me to a meeting." Jason wanted to trouble Eric in any way possible and get him to leave, but because of Emily, Eric had no intention of going anywhere. Jason's behavior toward Eric was making Emily angry. One evening, as Emily and Eric were leaving after finishing work, Jason approached them and said, "Eric, I want you to finish an urgent task." Then he looked at Emily and said, "Emily, I'll drop you home." Hearing this, Emily glared at him and said, "I know why you're doing all this. Look, Jason, what did I get by staying with you? Nothing except 100 enemies who became bloodthirsty toward me, and when I needed you the most, you weren't there. And the one who is truly protecting me from all this, you're bothering him too. Please, stay away from me now." Saying this, Emily held Eric's hand and walked away with him. Hearing all this, Jason felt deeply hurt because all that he had done for Emily, all his love, seemed to have no value in her eyes. Chapter 15. Emily was slowly getting closer to Eric. One evening, Eric invited her to his apartment, and they decided to watch a movie together. "Tonight will be a quiet evening just for the two of us," Eric said with a smile. Emily gave a soft smile and replied, "Yes, I really need a break today, away from the office and all of Jason's troubles." They watched romantic and comedy movies together. Eric brought popcorn for Emily, and slowly their hands touched and intertwined. Emily felt both safe and excited when she was with Eric. "You're really special, Eric," she said softly. "And so are you, Emily," Eric replied with a smile. At that moment, Eric gently placed his hand on Emily's shoulder, turned her face toward him, and began leaning closer. But just then, Emily's phone started ringing. She saw that it was Jason calling. Emily moved slightly away from Eric and answered. "Hello, Jason. Why are you calling so late at night?" Hearing this, Jason said from the other side, "Everything that's been happening lately is affecting our relationship. Forgive me if I ever hurt you, and also forgive me for that day, for not being able to save you." Hearing that, Emily replied, "Jason, you're not the same as you used to be, and because of your one mistake that day, I could have lost my life. I saw death up close, and I know as long as I stay with you, things like this will keep happening. So I'm sorry, but maybe I have to end whatever was between us, because if something like that happens again, I might not survive next time." Jason panicked and said, "Why are you saying that? Look, I promise I'll do everything I can to make sure you never face anything like that again." Hearing that, Emily said, "And what if it still happens again?" Jason took a deep breath and replied, "Then what do you want me to do?" Emily said, "Either separate yourself from your pack or kneel before the rival pack." Jason's tone turned firm as he said, "That's not possible, Emily. I'm the alpha of my pack, and being an alpha means being the leader. I can't betray my own pack." Hearing this, Emily grew angry and said, "Fine then, forget me," and she hung up the phone. Eric kept staring at Emily, while she was still furious about the way Jason had spoken to her. In that anger, Emily suddenly kissed Eric. Chapter 16. Jason was wandering alone through the streets of New York. He realized that Emily was now with Eric, and that thought filled him with jealousy and restlessness deep inside. Why is he taking my place?" Jason whispered. To forget the pain and jealousy burning in his heart, Jason went into a bar and sat down to drink. "Maybe this will calm me down," he said, taking a deep sip of alcohol. In the bar, Jason noticed a woman around 55 years old sitting there. She was a werewolf. Jason's eyes suddenly fixed on her. "You're a member of our pack. What are you doing here?" he asked in surprise. Hearing this, the woman looked at him and said, "You're always either with that human girlfriend of yours or busy with your human work. Do you even have the slightest idea what's happening in the werewolf world?" Jason looked at her in surprise and said, "What do you mean, what happened?" The woman glared at him and said, "The thing that has given strength to all of us werewolves for centuries, it's no longer there." Jason almost jumped from his seat and exclaimed, "How is that possible? That sacred stone of the werewolves has been kept in the great werewolf temple for thousands of years, and it's guarded not by one or two, but by hundreds of powerful werewolves. Even if an entire pack tried to take that sacred stone from there, it would still be impossible to remove it." Hearing this, worry lines appeared on the woman's face. She took a sip of her drink and said, "That's exactly the problem. Despite such strict guards, the stone has disappeared. And if it isn't returned to its place soon, disaster will strike. All of us werewolves will start losing our power, and at such a time, only the one who possesses that sacred stone will remain powerful." Jason thought for a moment and then said, "But we werewolves can sense each other's powers. So, is it even possible for someone who has that stone to hide their werewolf strength from the rest of us?" Hearing this, the woman thought for a moment and then said, "Yes, it's absolutely possible. That sacred stone not only hides the power of the werewolf who possesses it, but also has the ability to conceal its own energy. there's one thing to be very concerned about. The energy of that stone is normally shared equally among all werewolves, which keeps its power in balance. If that energy goes into just one werewolf, the balance will collapse, and no werewolf is strong enough to contain the combined power of all the werewolves in the world alone. Jason stared at the woman and asked, "If someone tries to do that, what will happen?" Hearing this, the woman said, "I can't say for certain, but with such a huge energy imbalance, the sacred stone could actually shatter, destroying its power, and after that, it's possible that we all may remain in our true werewolf forms forever. Not only that, there's a high chance that by staying in our werewolf forms permanently, we could lose our intelligence and become like animals." Hearing all this, Jason was extremely shaken. But then he remembered that there was a werewolf somewhere in his office, though he had no idea who it was. Now Jason realized that this must be the one who stole the stone, and he began planning how to catch that werewolf. That night completely changed the lives of all three. Emily was growing closer to Eric. Jason was caught between jealousy and new mysteries, and the woman werewolf had introduced a new twist in Jason's life. Chapter 17. The morning in New York was fast-paced and bustling. Emily was now slowly enjoying her new romance with Eric. After their movie date the previous night, smiles, hand touches, and small romantic moments had become common between them. "Eric, I think I'm truly happy with you," Emily said with a gentle smile. "And I feel the same, Emily. Every moment with you feels special," Eric whispered. Meanwhile, Jason sat alone in the bar, the woman's words still echoing in his mind. He didn't know what to do first. Should he focus on catching that werewolf, or should he try once again to win Emily's heart? After thinking for a long time, Jason decided that he would first catch that werewolf, and only after that would he try to keep Eric away from Emily. That very day, Eric went to the office and told everyone that there would be a health checkup for all employees, and a small amount of blood would be taken from each person. Emily was surprised to hear this, because everyone had already undergone a health checkup not long ago. She wondered why it was happening again. While she was thinking about this, her eyes fell on Eric's face, which looked a little troubled. Seeing this, Emily said, "What's the matter, Eric? You seem a bit worried. Is everything okay?" Hearing this, Eric looked around and saw that no one was nearby. Then, in a low voice, he said, "Emily, you know that I'm a werewolf. If my powers are exposed in front of everyone, it'll cause a huge problem for me. I'm no longer part of any werewolf pack because I wanted to live a normal life. But if Jason finds out, he'll pressure me to join his pack again, and I don't want that. Please, Emily, help me." Emily understood what Eric meant, so she said, "Don't worry. We'll take 2 blood samples from me. We'll label one with your name, that way no one will suspect anything." Eric agreed to this plan, and after everyone's blood samples were collected, complete silence filled the room. In the evening, Eric and Emily went out together and headed straight to the place where everyone's blood samples were kept. By now, it was quite dark around, and no one was in sight. Seizing the opportunity, Eric transformed into his werewolf form, leapt up, and entered the open section of the building. Once inside, he picked up all the samples stored in a container. He took his own sample and replaced it with Emily's blood sample, labeling it with his name. After doing all this, he returned, fully confident that he could not be caught. Chapter 18. That evening, Eric and Emily went to the pub. Once there, they danced enthusiastically, each holding a glass in their hands. Just then, Jason suddenly appeared. Seeing Emily like that made him extremely angry, and in his fury, he moved toward Eric. But at that very moment, Emily noticed him and positioned herself like a wall between Eric and Jason. Seeing this, Jason stopped in his tracks and said in a very soft voice, "Emily, why are you doing this?" To this, Emily replied, "Look, Jason, everything that was between you and me is over, so please, stop interfering in my life." Hearing this, Jason was completely stunned. He had been thinking of clearing up the misunderstanding between the two of them, and now Emily was openly telling him she wanted a breakup. A slight dampness came to his eyes, and he said, "Why? What was missing from my love that you're leaving me like this?" Hearing that, Emily replied harshly, "Look, Jason, I told you to choose between your pack and me, and you chose your pack. What's left to say now? I can't spend my whole life living under the shadow of fear of death, so forget me." With that, she started to walk away, but Jason grabbed her hand, pulled her toward him, and said angrily, "What do you think that this is so easy? You can't leave me that easily, understand? And if you do, it will end badly." Before Emily could say anything, the bar guards arrived and forcibly dragged Jason outside. Jason could have easily used his werewolf powers to push the guards away, but since it was a public place, he refrained. Still, his mind was now filled with anger for Emily. The next evening, Jason received the blood reports of everyone working in the office, and to his surprise, all the reports were completely normal. Seeing this, Jason said in astonishment to his 3 werewolf companions, "We were told that there is a werewolf in our office who's behind all this, but look, all the test reports are normal." On hearing this, one of his companions said, "It's not necessary that what we see is the truth. I mean, it could be that the werewolf tampered with the reports. He's very clever. He won't be caught that easily." Hearing that, Jason thought for a moment and said, "You're right, but however clever he is, he will make a mistake sooner or later. A few months ago, I had everyone's blood tests done. Those reports should be stored in our system, and we also have these new reports now. Let's do this. Match the old reports against the new ones. If the werewolf submitted someone else's blood instead of his own, he'll be exposed, because it's not possible for him to get the same person's blood every single time." Hearing this, their eyes lit up with excitement, and after the office hours, they all sat down to match the old reports with the new ones. After a few hours of effort, Jason finally discovered who was hiding in the office disguised as a human, and it was none other than Eric. Now that Jason knew Eric's secret, he was extremely angry at him. But more than anger, he felt fear for Emily, because she was with Eric. Jason now realized why Eric had taken Emily away from him, to use her as a shield whenever the time came. Chapter 19. The morning in New York was covered in a light mist. Emily sat in her apartment when suddenly a flood of memories from the past rushed through her heart. The time she had spent with Jason, their smiles, their little romantic moments, and the sense of safety she always felt around him. "Jason, he always made me feel safe," Emily whispered softly. She realized that now her heart was also being drawn toward Eric, yet every moment she had spent with Jason was still alive in her memories. She looked at the old photos of her and Jason on her phone. Seeing them brought a faint smile to her face, but then she remembered the fight they had that night. She was lost in her thoughts when suddenly, she heard the sounds of a fight coming from her neighbor's apartment. After a few moments, the noises stopped. A couple lived next door. The man often raised his hand against his partner. Seeing this, Emily was reminded that Jason, too, was incredibly powerful, and if he had wanted, he could have hurt her in anger. But he never did. Jason had always tried to protect her. Yet when difficult times came, instead of standing by him, she had chosen to be with Eric. Thinking about all this, she got ready and left for the office with Eric. On the way, Eric kept talking to her, but Emily's mind was still lost in those thoughts. She didn't pay attention to a single word he said. Even at the office, Emily kept thinking about the same things, which made it hard for her to focus on her work. Seeing her like this, Shane taunted her, saying, "What happened? Are you thinking about a third person now?" Hearing that, Emily glared at him and said, "What's it to you? Mind your own business." After that, Shane stayed quiet, but then Eric spoke up. "What's wrong, Emily? I've been watching you since morning. You seem lost in thought. You look really upset." Emily finally said, "I can't lose Jason. I have to go to him. Being away from him made me realize I can't live without him for long. Between us, there was more than just friendship, and maybe I can't give you the place in my life that I gave to Jason." But then, Eric stepped in front of Emily and said, "You're going to Jason? You need to understand that he's not the same for you anymore. Something happened last night. After that, I don't think he'll ever accept you again. So forget him. We can be happy together always." Hearing this, Emily replied, "Eric, you really are a good person, but I love Jason. And even if he doesn't take me back, that's okay. I still want to meet him once and ask for his forgiveness for my mistakes." Eric then said, "I don't think he even wants to talk to you. I haven't seen him since this morning. Maybe that's why he didn't come to the office today. He probably doesn't want to see you anymore." At that moment, all the little memories Emily had with Jason came flooding back. The times he made her feel safe and loved, his smiles, his gentle words. "No, I'll go to him. No illusion can stop me now," she resolved firmly. Hearing this, Eric realized there was no point in trying to stop Emily anymore. He also didn't want to ruin his image of being a good guy in front of her. So, taking a deep breath, he said softly, "All right, do whatever you think is right. But just remember, I'll always be there for you, even when that Jason is." Emily smiled faintly at this and started calling Jason, but he didn't answer. She tried several times, yet Jason never picked up. Seeing this, a slight smirk appeared on Eric's face, and he said, "See for yourself. You thought of giving him another chance, and in return, he didn't even bother to answer your call. He doesn't want you anymore. You should accept that truth and move on." Emily replied, "Maybe he's just busy. That's why he isn't answering. I'm sending him a message to meet me at the park outside the office tonight at 8. I know he'll come. I'm sure he will." After that, Emily sent the message to Jason, and once work was over in the evening, went to wait for him at the park outside the office. She had decided that she would apologize to Jason for all her mistakes, and not just that, she would promise to stand by him through every hardship from now on. Emily waited there for Jason, but he didn't come. 8 o'clock passed, then 9, and still there was no sign of Jason. Her heart shattered. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she sank to her knees in the park. Just then, Eric arrived, placed his hand gently on her shoulder, and said, "I told you, did I? There's no place for you in his heart anymore. But you didn't listen, and now you see how much pain that's caused you." Hearing this, Emily broke down and hugged Eric tightly, sobbing uncontrollably. At that very moment, Jason arrived, and what he saw shattered him completely. Emily was in Eric's arms. Seeing them like that, Jason's voice roared through the park. "So this is why you called me here, to show me this. Why did you do this to me, Emily? I always loved you, and you betrayed me. And Emily, I already know that you were aware Eric is a werewolf. Isn't that right?" Emily, through her tears, said, "I didn't betray you, Jason. I love you so much. That's why I called you here tonight to tell you everything. When you didn't come, I broke down crying, and Eric was just trying to comfort me." Jason glared at her and demanded harshly, "Tell me the truth. Did you already know that he's a werewolf?" Hearing this, Emily lowered her eyes, and after a brief pause, she said softly, "But he's not an evil werewolf. He saved me from danger many times." Jason turned his sharp gaze toward Eric and asked sternly, "Was it you who stole the sacred stone from the Temple of Vido?" Eric looked confused and replied, "What are you talking about? I don't understand. I've been tired of this cursed life myself. That's why I chose to live among humans like one of them. But it seems you've finally found me anyway." Jason stepped closer and said in a cold, steady voice, "Your powers have been hidden from all of us for so long. That's not possible without help. That kind of concealment can only be done using the sacred stone. Now tell me, where is that stone?" Emily was completely certain that Eric could never do something like that, so she said firmly, "Jason, you're doubting Eric for no reason. He didn't steal any stone. In fact, I think you've made up this whole story just to trap him." Jason looked at her in shock and asked, "So you trust him more than you trust me?" At that moment, Emily remembered how Eric had always helped her, so she replied, "I'm sure Eric could never do something like this. And if you don't want to stay in this relationship anymore, that's fine. I'm not desperate to keep it either." Saying that, Emily turned away and walked off with Eric, leaving Jason standing there, stunned. Chapter 20. Emily was deeply heartbroken. She didn't know what to do. She didn't want to be away from Jason, but it seemed that his trust in her had completely faded. Seeing how upset she was, Eric took her to his apartment. He made her a drink and said gently, "There's no point dwelling on all this anymore. You need to move on from it." Hearing that, Emily replied sadly, "It's easy for you to say, but do you even know how I feel right now? By the way, what was that stone Jason was talking about, and what's so special about it?" Then Eric explained, "There's a sacred temple for all werewolves, and inside it is a holy stone. All werewolves derive their power from that stone. If it falls into the hands of a single werewolf, the powers of all other werewolves will vanish one by one, and only the werewolf holding the stone will gain all the power." Hearing this, Emily asked in surprise, "If that happens, what will happen to the other werewolves?" Eric replied, taking a sip of his drink, "I don't know, and I don't even want to know. I've already moved ahead of them all." But Emily found Eric's behavior very strange. He himself was a werewolf, and if the stone went missing, the very existence of the werewolves could be at risk. Yet he seemed completely unconcerned. Seeing this, Emily realized that something was definitely wrong, and perhaps there was some truth in what Jason had said. Emily kept a calm demeanor while secretly planning to search Eric's apartment for clues. To create an opportunity, she began drinking with Eric. To distract him, she said, "I loved Jason so much, and now he's doubting me. It really hurts," and took a sip. Eric joined her in drinking to keep her company. Seizing the moment, Emily cleverly added more alcohol to Eric's glass. Soon, Eric became heavily intoxicated, completely unaware of what was happening around him. Taking advantage of this, Emily quietly got up and called Jason. As soon as he answered, Jason said urgently, "Emily, please, give me a chance and hear me out. Eric isn't right. It might have been him who stole that stone. That's why none of us were able to sense his powers." Hearing this, Emily said, "I'm starting to see truth in what you're saying. I don't know why, but Eric showed no real concern about that stone. That made me suspicious. Listen carefully. If he stole the stone, it'll be somewhere inside his apartment. I drugged him with alcohol and knocked him out, and now I'm going to search his place." Jason replied, "No, Emily, don't do that. Leave there right now. I'll come with my companions and we'll get the stone, but don't put your life at risk." Emily answered, "Okay, you come with your companions. Until then, I'll search here." With that, she hung up and began thoroughly searching Eric's apartment. As she was searching Eric's wardrobe, Emily suddenly spotted a glowing green stone inside. The stone was incredibly beautiful, sparkling even more brilliantly than a diamond. Seeing it, Emily immediately realized this had to be the very same sacred stone. Thinking quickly, she decided to take it and leave. Just as she turned, she suddenly found Eric standing right in front of her. Startled by his sudden appearance, Emily froze. Eric grinned menacingly and said, "What were you doing? I guess you've figured everything out, haven't you?" Hearing this, Emily stepped back in fear. At that moment, Eric snatched the stone from her hand and said, "I had started to love you. I thought that once I had everything, we would be happy together. But perhaps that's not possible in this lifetime, and now that you've told Jason everything, it won't be so easy for you. Let's play a little game with him." Then Eric struck Emily hard on the neck, causing her to lose consciousness instantly. Lifting her in his arms, he transformed into his werewolf form and carried her away. Chapter 21. Jason, along with his companions, rushed into Eric's apartment, fearing that Eric might have harmed Emily. When they entered, the apartment was empty, but there was a note lying on the floor. It read, "Jason, your girlfriend has found out about me, so I had no choice but to take her with me. If you want your girlfriend to remain safe, you must come near the werewolf temple tomorrow night, and remember, no tricks." Reading this, Jason became extremely anxious. At that moment, one of his companions said, "If he wanted, he could have escaped from here easily, so why is he calling us there?" Hearing this, Jason also fell into thought, wondering why Eric would do something like this. He called a number. It was the woman he had met at the bar. After explaining everything, she said, "Don't go there at all. Eric has lured you into a carefully planned trap. Tomorrow is a full moon night, and on this night werewolves' powers are at their peak. If all the pack alphas come to the temple with that stone in Eric's possession, he can easily take everyone's powers. After that, you'll either be powerless or turn completely feral. Hearing that, Jason said, "So what, you want me to give Emily up forever because of all this? That will never happen. I'd rather something happen to me first than let Emily be hurt. Emily could have run away then, but she chose to stay and try to find our sacred stone, and that's why her life is in danger now." Upon hearing this, the woman said, "I can understand your feelings, but you must also understand one thing. A single person cannot put the entire werewolf community in danger. And whoever possesses the sacred stone will also have the temple guardians on their side. In such a case, you will not only have to face Eric, but also the temple guardians." Hearing this, Jason said, "Whatever happens, we'll see, but I am not going to put Emily's life in danger." After saying this, Jason hung up the phone. Jason then waited with his companions for the next day. The following night, he went with his companions to the werewolf temple. There, the alphas of different werewolf packs were standing with their own companions. Upon seeing Jason, one of them said, Well, Jason, you're here too." Hearing this, Jason said, "Yes, David, we had to come here for the precious sacred stone. By the way, why have you all come here?" Hearing this, a smile appeared on David's face, and he said, "Actually, we've come here for the same reason. And look, we've run into an old enemy, by the way. I heard that your girlfriend helped that Eric in stealing the stone." Hearing this, Jason angrily said, "That's not true at all. Eric is a complete deceiver. He befriended my girlfriend through trickery and then used her to distract me. Every time, it seemed like their target was my girlfriend, but in reality, their true target was the precious stone." They were all talking there when suddenly Eric arrived, and with him, Emily, tied up with ropes, was brought along. Seeing her there, Jason felt a little unsettled, but after a moment, he composed himself and said, "This entire fight is between all of us, so it would be better to remove my girlfriend from this. She should be sent away safely." Hearing this, a terrifying smile appeared on Eric's face, and he said, "Sorry, but the right to decide and speak here belongs only to me, and I am not going to let this girl go so easily. After all, I love her so much." Hearing this, Emily angrily said, "I don't need the love of a lowlife like you." Upon hearing this, Eric touched Emily's face and said, "You're saying this now, but when Jason is gone, won't you need me then?" Hearing this, Emily's eyes widened in shock, and then Eric said to everyone, "You will remember me. I rebelled against the werewolf packs and carved out my own path. I wanted to become the sole master of all power, and I succeeded in my goal. I obtained as much power as I desired from this stone, and now this stone is of no use to me. But if you want me to put it back in the temple, then you must do as I say. Right now, finish off the alpha of the Shadow Ridge pack who stands before you." Hearing this, everyone present was stunned. Emily screamed loudly, "No." Chapter 22. As soon as he said that, the alphas of all the packs began moving toward Jason. Jason awakened his werewolf powers, and before anyone could fully register it, transformed into a black werewolf. Everyone present slowly transformed into werewolves as well, and a fierce battle broke out there. Seeing all this, Emily screamed desperately, but her cries were drowned out by the battle. Watching her, Eric said, "Look how truly mad these people are, fighting like this over it. But that's fine. If they keep fighting among themselves, my time will come. After midnight, I will draw all the powers from this magical stone." Hearing this, Emily said, "Don't forget that you are just an ordinary werewolf. If you try to take all the stone's powers, your body will explode like a bomb, because your body isn't capable of absorbing so much energy. So correct your mistakes and stop this now." Hearing that, Eric said, "Absolutely not. This will only stop when I take the powers of all these werewolves." Emily became extremely panicked because if all this energy went into Eric's body, it would mean the destruction of all the werewolves, something she did not want. Meanwhile, the battle had taken a terrifying turn. Jason and his companions were trying their best to fight them off. But there were simply too many. During all this, midnight struck. Seeing this, a terrifying smile appeared on Eric's face, and he said, "Now it's time to absorb all the energy of the stone. He then said to the temple guardians standing nearby, "I am focusing on my task, and if any of these werewolves try to interfere, you stop them." After that, Eric moved a little away and placed the stone by the edge of a river. He then stood at a short distance. The moonlight was shining through the river onto the stone, and from the stone, a green light began to emit, heading toward Eric. Before that light could enter Eric's body, Emily stepped between the light and Eric. Seeing this, Eric's eyes widened in shock because the moment he had been waiting for so long was ruined by the light being blocked. The light had entered Emily's body, and immediately a deathly silence fell over the place. At the same moment, Emily fainted and collapsed there. Meanwhile, after the light entered Emily, all the temple guardians sprang into action. They calmed Jason and the other werewolves down. Seeing all this, Jason quickly realized that everything had been resolved. He began searching for Emily, but she was nowhere to be seen. As he searched, he reached the river and found Emily unconscious there. Seeing Emily like that, he immediately understood that she had taken all the danger upon herself to protect everyone. Tears welled up in his eyes. He went to her, lifted her into his arms, and said, "Emily, wake up. Emily, please talk to me. Look, everything is all right now." Everyone present tried to take care of the two, but no one could understand just how much pain Jason was in. At that moment, Jason kissed Emily on her lips, and the instant he did, Emily regained consciousness. Seeing this, everyone was astonished. At the same time, a temple guardian said, "This girl took all the danger upon herself, which caused the sacred stone to collide with her body and return to the stone. That's why everything is now fine. And since this is a sacred object of the werewolves, she had fainted. She could only regain consciousness when someone who truly loved her kissed her, and with Jason's kiss, she woke up." Hearing this, everyone was overjoyed. Emily and Jason then began their new life together.